What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Woodward Bet Show here on a Thursday night. I am Beer, back in the house, joined as always by the hardest working guy here at Woodward Bets. The dude never takes a day off. Scott in the house, my man. How we doing here on this fine Thursday? I saw some snowflakes again today, so our time is limited here without snow.
Yeah, that's not good, but doing good. Can't complain. And hey, all the hard work we put in, we just want to try to get the word out to all the people that if you need help with some fantasy, you need some help with some bets, maybe some DFS stuff like that. That's what we're here for. So we're always looking to improve. So I think we got some new ideas, that we were all just kind of discussing here a little bit. Maybe we'll get to a show maybe on a Sunday where we can have some start and sit questions live right before NFL kicks off. So hoping to kind of get that in place and do some other stuff. But yeah, Chris, always just looking to be a helping hand for the people out there.
Absolutely. When we kind of started this, you and I have been talking fantasy back and forth for a lot of years, and that's what we want this to be. Just the same kind of conversation you'd sit around and have with your buddies, it's talking about who am I going to start this week and who should I bet on. Now we have a lot more experience than most, and that's what we hope to pass along. But we really want this to be community driven and very interactive with you guys out there. A lot of you guys don't have time, gals, whatever it is. You guys don't have time to put in as much research and time as we do into this. We know people have jobs and, relationships and kids, and sometimes you got to rake the leaves and you're out for a week after that. Let us help you out with all this stuff, but we want you guys to be involved as well. So first thing you got to do is head over to Twitter. Follow our page over there at Woodward Bets. So we want to continue to grow that, continue to put more content out there, and grow our library as well. We want to have a library of things that answer your questions. What does this mean? Or I'm new to DFS. How do I get started? So we're only at the tip of the iceberg here. Me and Scott just talking sports every day is only the beginning here for Woodward Bets. We got a lot of visions on what we want to do here, but we want it to be what you guys want to hear, what you want to see. So now's the time. Have your voice be heard, and you can do that over at Woodward Bets on Twitter. Also, make sure you follow the network at Woodward Sports. So, Scott, Thursday night, clearly no baseball. The Braves wrapped that up the other night. Congrats again for calling Braves in 6. Called that right here on the Woodward Bet Show. So those are the kind of bets we hope to get you guys every day into the future. So that was a great call there. Tonight, we got Thursday Night Football. We got some NBA to talk. And, of course, we always take a look at the NFL and look at some of the updates there. So exciting times here tonight. Got a lot to cover here on the show today, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you said, it's a great time of year. We even got college basketball coming up here in a week or two. So, man, it's just an exciting time. I'm looking forward to it. But, I just want to put out a thank you to our man JT Hayes yesterday, filled in for you from Run Pure Sports. We really appreciate it. Chris, he was a Braves fan, so I thought, hey, why not get him on? Let him smile and gloat a little bit about his Braves. He and I did a lot of baseball over there at Run Pure Sports, so it was fun to have him on. He's a good guy to have celebrate the Braves. I thought, hey, if I could pick anybody else, I'd want to have JT come on with me here. But had a lot of fun with JT yesterday, so look forward to possibly seeing him here again. But Chris, we got a couple other guests here. I'm hoping to line up here. I know we talked to Freddie the Pizza Man. I think we might get Freddie the Pizza Man in here one of these days with us. I've talked to a few other guys, but Freddie seems to be all gung-ho. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting Freddie to come on. So just looking to get different guests to roll through here, but always looking to have some fun.
Absolutely. We have a lot of friends in this industry, say a lot of people that and recognize and know the names, and we'll continue to bring them on. A, it's always good to connect with these people. B, to pass on their knowledge to you guys. And again, that's what we are here to do, is give you that knowledge and give you that info. So one place you can utilize that info, Scott, Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you guys get over there, download the app. Great sponsor here of the show at Woodward Bets. And what we've done, we set up, you're going to get some free money. And who doesn't like free? All you have to do is get over to Woodward Bets, deposit $10. You're going to get $10 free if you use our promo code WSN, as in Woodward Sports Network. tons of different games over there, Scott, as you see on the screen. There's drafts, best ball drafts, nothing better. You do a draft, you don't have to manage it at all. You just let it sit there, and hopefully you're a good drafter. There's ways to parlay up a bunch of different props, as you see on the screen. 5 picks to win $2,000 if you get them all right. So something there for everybody at Underdog Fantasy. You can download it now on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. You can play right on your browser as well. You're set up in seconds. Very easy to use, very user-friendly. A great team. I know a lot of the people behind the product, so something I utilize a lot, and I think you guys will enjoy it a lot. So take advantage of that offer, promo code WSN over at Underdog Fantasy. So, Scott, what else we got going on here at Woodward Sports? I mean, again, exciting times and a lot going on here at Woodward Bets, Woodward Sports. A great time to be hopping in and being a part of this program here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure you guys have maybe checked out some of the other shows. I mean, we got the Morning Woodward Show with Adam and Jeff. We have the Big D Energy with D-Mac, Joik, and Neil. And then we got the Bottom Line with Ryan, Braylon, and Maz, of course. So, Chris, I think, we're going to possibly see you on maybe that Bottom Line show here earlier today or maybe as the weeks go on. So excited to get us out over there. But, just even being around the office with some of these guys, it's pretty interesting just to kind of hear, their takes on different things and different sports, and kind of hearing Braylon talking about Michigan State. And yeah, it's a good time. He does respect that Spartan team. I know he kind of got some flack about talking about the defense, but he was the first one to say, and the man played in the rivalry, he thought that was the biggest game of all time in that rivalry that we just played. So I'm going to tend to agree with him. It sucks my team came up on the short end, but we can maybe get a little retribution here if we can go undefeated, and I don't think that'll happen, but hey, it's still out there for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a huge game. So, Sparty, we'll see if they can continue their run here. The initial college football playoffs came out, and they found themselves inside the top 4. So, once you're in that spot, it's not as easy as win out and you stay in. There's teams that can creep up, but generally, if you're in there in the beginning and they finish the season undefeated, it's hard to keep them out in a conference like the Big Ten that's so competitive. So, like you mentioned, a lot of great shows here on the network. Make sure you guys are tuning into all of it. And I will be joining the Bottom Line every Thursday afternoon. Join those guys, talk some shop, talk some Woodward Bets, and see what they got going on. I got to make sure. What'd you call it? Raylan? I like that you combined them both into one. I got to make sure those guys they're staying in line. So that's my job every Thursday afternoon. Again, you can catch that 3:35 to 3:45, about 3:50 every Thursday afternoon. So excited to be on with those guys, of course. Just excited to see the network growth as a whole, and we want to be a part of that with our community here at Woodward Bets. So thank you to each and every one of you that tunes in. Whether it's every day, whether every other day, tell your friends, follow the Twitter page. We thank each and every one of you for supporting our venture here. And coming up Friday is always our sit-start show. So if you guys are stuck, again, we're in the middle of bye weeks. We got COVID issues we're going to talk about. We got injuries we're trying to jump around. We want to help you out in your season-long league. So send us your sit-start questions, DFS questions. If you got betting questions, it does not matter. We do that every single Friday. We've had some great questions, Scott. So let's keep those rolling in over at Woodward Bets. And then, of course, Saturday, we'll break down the top 25 in college and give you some of our favorite bets from the card. And every Sunday, a big spectacular. We cover the NFL main slate, top to bottom, DFS plays, betting, season long. We cover it all. Big hour-long show there every Sunday morning. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that as well before you set all those lineups and make all your bets here in the NFL. So talking about the NFL, Scott, we got to start with my team, of course, the Green Bay Packers. Born and raised Wisconsinite. I don't want anyone to think I'm a traitor here in Michigan and gave up on the Lions. I was born and bred cheesehead. But Aaron Rodgers, Scott, continues to be a story here. And, test positive for COVID. It comes out that he's unvaccinated, and apparently they asked him early in the season, and he said, "I'm immunized," and that apparently was good enough. But it goes deeper than that. Green Bay apparently knowing about this and not having him wear a mask, whether you believe in masks or not. these mandates were put in place by the NFL. You see a guy like Lamar Jackson, unvaccinated, always wearing a mask. Now Aaron Rodgers somehow above the law here. So what do we do with this guy? Because it's just one story after another. Is he setting himself up for retirement here? I mean, this is just a nightmare here with Rodgers. And did he infect his teammates? Was he the one that caused this? Like, we saw Devontae Adams miss games. Just a debacle here. And I hate that it's my team, but we got to talk about it here.
Yeah, I mean, I understand this is a really touchy situation, and I kind of heard some talk about it, and I got a view, I think maybe a little bit different than others, and I think we got to just dumb it down and kind of just realize what is happening here. So, yes, is Aaron Rodgers, whether you want the shot, you agree with the shot, I don't care about any of that in this situation. I really don't. Yes, the NFLs have rules in place that are mandating that you get the shot or you need to follow certain protocols, which mask wearing on the sidelines. You're supposed to wear a mask on the sideline, but it don't make sense. You don't have to wear a mask while you play, while these guys are breathing and spitting on each other. I mean, so yes, you can argue all the rules and everything are hypocritical. We get that. But still, the rules are rules. So I do believe the Packers, we obviously know at this point now that the Packers knew, and Aaron Rodgers basically beat around the bush. And yes, he did say, he was immunized and it inferred that he was vaccinated to the time at the question. But my thing is this. The man, in really the grand scheme of life, I think his health, his choice, and his family is what matters. Like, to me, if that's what he chose, he knew what the ramifications were, and so did the Packers. They chose also to play him with that knowing. So, I mean, the guy's going to miss one game. I mean, I'm not trying to compare COVID to like a birth, but what if he missed for a birth of a child or something? Or a lot of these guys just sat out the whole season. Listen, I just think that we should it's his workplace, right? Let it be his workplace. Football, we're fans. It's easy to get under our crawl and say, oh, he's not doing the right thing and he's being selfish. Is he? Or are we being selfish as fans? I think we're being selfish as fans. I think we just need, if that's his choice, I'm for anybody. That's your choice. That's fine. But I think we as fans, yes, does it suck from the football side of things? Absolutely. You're a fan. He's got to sit out, could cost seatings, whatever else. But I think all these players are actually comfortable with this and knowing that's a lot of they're letting their own guys make decisions. They're the ones that not made the rules. I think that lies on the NFL for some of these rules that they really didn't think through. So in my opinion, I think we just should let Aaron Rodgers be. He is a selfish guy. I'm not disputing that. But I will say, if Aaron Rodgers, this happened to Geno Smith would be probably cut. But it's Aaron Rodgers. So I think this might be part of the reason why Aaron Rodgers didn't want to come back right away. I think they were arguing about this, actually. I think this was a part that something they disagreed about. And I think they had to come to the terms that he wasn't going to do it. And maybe there was more disagreement behind the scenes, but I still think we all need to take it at what it is. And I mean, this is the man's job. If he chose that for him and his family, I'm not here one to say yay or nay, but as a fan, sure, it does stink on a football perspective.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with that. It's the point, if you take the shot, you don't take the shot. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not the guy that says everyone should take it so that we're all safe. Like, I'm always a you do you guy. Whatever that is, I don't care. You do you. You take the shot, don't take the shot. I don't agree that these things should be mandated by workplaces, by the NFL. People should have the choice. And I get the other side. You got to protect the people around you as well. How much other dumb stuff do people do that's not protecting the people around them? Get in a car and drive while you're drinking. I mean, we could go on and on and on. So that whole, holier than thou routine is not going to work. The point is, it was mandated, and there are rules. Do we always all follow the rules at all times? No. But to skirt around it, for the team to know about it and kind of keep it under the radar, that to me is, whether you agree with the rule or not that the NFL put in place, this is the rule that they put in place. So do I follow all the rules all the time? Absolutely not. In fact, I'm just happy to be here. At this point, Scott, we all did dumb things along the way and probably continue to, but just some of the ways that they've handled this, it's an organization that generally has been first class the whole way. A lot of championships, a lot of Hall of Famers, a team that's owned by the people, the only team in professional sports that can say that. I am a proud partial owner of the Green Bay Packers, as minor as that may be. It's just really disappointing that this is the way they handle it. And Aaron Rodgers, again, as good as a quarterback as he is, this guy's a very selfish, all about him, no relationship with his family. Some of the other things that we've seen here, that being upset about them drafting Jordan Love, when they did the same thing with him. They drafted him when Brett Favre was in the middle of his run, but he's got an issue with them doing the same thing. So just on and on and on with this guy. So it just gets old. So we'll see what happens here. Is there going to be punishments from the NFL? I've heard potential loss of draft picks been thrown around. We'll see how seriously that they take this, but just a weird situation. So no Aaron Rodgers this week in Green Bay. We'll see if that affects anyone else. Let's transition out of COVID, Scott. Let's update some of the other injuries. Christian McCaffrey back at practice today. So obviously great news there for Carolina, for Christian McCaffrey owners. Do you think we get him back in the lineup? We know this has been kind of teased before. We saw him back, then he hurt himself again. Are we actually going to see Christian McCaffrey this week?
Chris, I'll tell you what, my buddy who I'm in my league with all my buddies, the one I care about the most, I had CMC last year, drafted him number 1, and I got teased all damn season, kept him on my roster. He's coming back in a week. He's coming back in 2 weeks, and another setback. He plays for a quarter. He gets hurt again. Then I think he played a game. He got hurt 2 more, and then you think he's coming back for the playoffs, and your hopes and dreams were smashed, and it didn't work. So I actually told my buddy, if he plays this week, you should probably trade him as fast as you can to the first sucker that takes him, because to me, I don't think he's going to make it the rest of the season, and I think you can get a pretty valuable chip back for a guy like CMC, especially if you've made it and you're on the borderline of making the playoffs at this point. I think I would rather take a chance on potentially another guy than maybe you could get that's maybe a little equal, that you think is equal or a fair trade for CMC. I think at this point, just being a guy who got burned by him last year, I think I would get rid of him. I would seriously consider it if I was you. But to each is their own. But man, it's just I think you can get a lot for him to make your team better at this point to what outweighs the risk of him getting hurt again and having nothing.
And he's still a huge name. You put him out as a trade piece, a lot of people are going to be knocking your door down. It's a premier running back. When he is in and he is playing, there's nobody that plays at a higher level in fantasy than Christian McCaffrey. But your point, very valid. How long is this guy going to last? Because we haven't seen much of him over the last 2 years. It's been a couple games here and there, and then he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. So frustrating if you're a dynasty owner. I know that was probably either you spent an early pick on him, it cost you a lot to acquire him. You're just not getting the return on that investment in season long. We know what the cost was there, the 101 pick in pretty much every single draft that went on, and you've got nothing so far. So probably a fledgling team. If you made it through that, you're doing well. Congratulations. That's the sign of a good owner, is being able to weather the storm there with situations like that. But we'll see. So as of today, he is practicing. We mentioned Devontae Adams plays or gotten off the COVID list, so he's back practicing with the team. David Montgomery, Scott, this one sounds like they may try to get him some work. He was activated off the IR list, so maybe that game Monday night. We'll see if he's able to return. Kind of a crowded backfield there now with Damian Williams and Khalil Herbert. No practice today for Cole Beasley, so we'll keep an eye on that, a guy that's been playing well. A great matchup this week with Jacksonville. Sammy Watkins back at Baltimore practice, limited practice, but Latavius Murray, not so much. So we'll see if it's Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, Tyson Williams, or if Latavius is able to return. Jarvis Landry back at practice today, but no Odell Beckham. Another day of away from the team, in quotes. And then we have Sam Darnold, limited practice. We'll see if it's him or P.J. Walker on Sunday. And Dak Prescott sounds like he should be back for this game against the Denver Broncos on Sunday. So anything stand out there, Scott? Anything you want to add to the injuries here? Always a busy day here on Thursday with NFL injury updates.
Yeah, if you're a Mike Thomas owner, might as well just get rid of him. Sounds like he's not coming back this year. And it sounds like Ridley may not come back either from what I'm understanding. I think that's still up in the air. But Chris, OBJ, I thought it'd be interesting. We've seen all this stuff with Cleveland. And what are the chances he ends up? My instincts tell me he's going to be a Raider. I mean, doesn't it just scream him being a Raider. I don't know. I just have a feeling that's where he's going to end up, and I'll be the first one to say, hopefully he can keep his ass out of trouble over there in Las Vegas. That kind of seems like throwing match into a can of gasoline with that guy. I mean, he's we seen him on the boat with the picture. It seemed like the Giants went to crap ever since they were on their boat and had their party, and they felt a couple years back. But yeah, I'd be real concerned for OBJ personally if he ended up in the Sin City. I just don't think that's for everybody, and if you ask me, I'm not quite sure that's for him.
Yeah, we'll see. We've heard, New Orleans just, playing at LSU. There's a connection there. Vegas obviously makes sense after the Henry Ruggs thing, and maybe they want to make a splash. As of now, it's still a Cleveland Brown. I don't know that they just cut him loose. The trade deadline has passed, so maybe he finishes the season here. Maybe we don't see him again the rest of this year. Very weird situation. And Calvin Ridley, we're just in we're holding pattern. We talked about that on the show the other day. So, it's a big loss to your fantasy teams, but this guy working through some issues. So let's give him that privacy. And Michael Thomas, as you mentioned, likely done for the year. So probably the last time we see him with the Saints. It doesn't seem like there's a mutual love between those two, Scott. A lot of issues back and forth and griping back and forth. So is this a real injury? Is he doing this to not have to play for the Saints? Again, we don't have those answers, but if you're counting on him for your fantasy team, probably time to look somewhere else. So let's talk Thursday Night Football, Scott. We got the Jets traveling to Indy here tonight. So maybe not the sexiest of games, but what I will say is, we had some fun with who the hell is Mike White last week. We didn't know who the guy was. And, he comes on the stage and says, here I am. I'm going to throw for 400 yards here without Corey Davis. So we also saw Michael Carter kind of emerge there, a talented rookie running back. Sometimes it takes these guys, half the season to get going, but this guy looks like he could be the real deal here. So let's just look at the game in general. We'll get into some DFS plays for you guys for FanDuel and DraftKings, captains, plays like that. But we got a 10.5-point spread here, Scott. I do see some 10s out on the market on DraftKings and BetMGM. So depending on the side that you're on, you can find a 10 if you're on the Jets. There are some 10.5s out there. Total sitting right around 45 at most places as of this show. So, Scott, thoughts on the game tonight? How do you see this one playing out? Do we get another big effort out of Mike White and company, or the Colts rolling this one?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of giggling about some of these guys coming in. We were laughing. Who's Mike White? I didn't even know where he was from. And he goes out and orchestrates probably the upset of so far the NFL season, I would say. Who would have expected? I'm sure the Jets knocked a lot of people out of some suicide pools last week with that victory. But, I watched a lot of that game, and I will say, Chris, man, the Bengals could not tackle. They were awful at tackling in the middle of the field, and it just seemed like he just was dinking and dunking. So I think they're going to watch some tape of that. I think they're going to try to take away. Indy's going to try to take that away. I think they're going to probably smash up the line and try to make him try to throw deep and try to expose that. But I mean, you just look at this game here. I mean, this game screams Jonathan Taylor all over it. I mean, Saleh's defenses, they've been terrible, almost 160 yards a game on the ground. I mean, you look at Jonathan Taylor, just anytime touchdown prop is minus 200. I mean, I don't really recall too many that are generally that high. So to see him at a minus 200, obviously, they're thinking the same thing. I think Taylor is just going to get a lion's share of the carries tonight and probably dominate. And I'm not sure either that the Jets got anybody to deal with Michael Pittman. So I think the Jets overperformed last week. I don't like to generally jump on teams that were in a situation like that. I think they played a little bit over their head. So I'm gonna say the Jets come back down to earth and probably lose by 2 touchdowns here tonight.
Yeah, I love Jonathan Taylor in this spot, and I know the concern with him is always, well, what about Nyheim Hines? So what about Marlon Mack? Look, Nyheim Hines is a fantastic pass catcher, and if you're playing from behind, that's the kind of guy that you want in your lineup because he's going to catch passes in that role. But generally, when I'm looking at running back, Scott, one of the boxes I'm looking to check is home favorite, big home favorite. Why? Because if the team's playing from ahead, they're going to want to run the ball, salt the clock away, and I think the Colts are going to be able to do that with Jonathan Taylor here. So not only that, no team in the NFL, not even your Detroit Lions, Scott, have allowed more fantasy points to running back than the New York Jets. So you talk captain plays, and Jonathan Taylor got to be squarely at the top of that list.
Yeah, especially on FanDuel. I mean, on FanDuel, you got to jam in the highest, the guy you think is going to do the best. DK, as we've said a few times, a little bit different just because of, the points are 1.5 times for the captain, but so is the salary. So a lot of times you can play a lower guy that you like if he has a decent game, allows you to get in two bigger studs and jam them in. But I think tonight with the showdown, I think there's a lot of low price guys. Like both these teams, I mean, like the Colts, I mean, that offense is pretty much a funnel offense. It's either going to Pittman or it's going to Taylor. I mean, very, very limited goes outside of that. So, you look at the Jets. The Jets are kind of the same way. They got Crowder and then they have Carter. But I think Crowder tonight is going to have a hard time with the Colts. Kenny Moore. I think he's a really good cornerback. Rates really well as far in the PFF grades. So. Yeah, I think the Jets. It's just this really bad matchup for the Jets all the way around. I mean, it's just all the boxes, as you mentioned, that are checked that the Jets struggle in. The Colts are pretty good at. So I think the Colts are just gonna, like I said, 2 touchdowns or so. I think they're gonna win.
Yeah, like you mentioned, FanDuel is a little bit more straightforward. The way to get different over there, find some lower owned guys and don't be afraid to leave some salary on the table there. If you zero out a lineup, I'm going to say 99% of the time or higher, that lineup is going to be duplicated, and you don't want the lineup duplicated. Now, if you end up getting first, okay, but you're splitting it with 100 people, 200 people. So you're really diluting the winnings, where if you get yourself a chance to get unique, maybe you take that thing on your own. So rush touchdowns much more valuable on FanDuel. It's only a half-point PPR format, so that's where you really focus. Not that you don't want touchdowns everywhere, but FanDuel a little bit more touchdown-centric. And you mentioned Jonathan Taylor, that big prop. That tells you something. The Jets, 11 rushing touchdowns allowed already, most in the league. That tells you something. Jonathan Taylor's going to score a touchdown tonight. You can pretty much write that one down, potentially 2 touchdowns here. So that would be the bet that I'm looking for, is the 2 touchdowns. We'll try to pull up some odds on that. But what cheap guys are you liking here? Generally the captain on DraftKings, you're penalized the salary. You get it 1.5 times the points, Scott, but you also pay a 1.5 times the salary here. So Jonathan Taylor could get quite expensive in that spot. So who are you looking at to save some salary here tonight?
Yeah, maybe some guys that I would look at for a little bit of salary relief. I mean, for one, I don't mind the kickers at all. I mean, I don't like playing defenses. You can play defenses on DK. I don't mind playing kickers. A lot of times you get 6, 7, 10 points from a kicker instead of trying to fish for that, miracle touchdown that you may get. But it's really tough down there. I think with all the guys you have down there, I think a guy like Marlon Mack is interesting, just because if they do get way ahead, you may see a fourth quarter of just Marlon Mack. So I think that is something in play. So if they are up, like I think, maybe Jonathan Taylor already gets his and both of them. I think if you do, I'd be interested in playing both guys, actually. So I think that's a way I would go. You look at the Colts, like it's hard to say because they don't throw really anybody else other than Pittman, like a Doyle or somebody like that. I think is pretty risky. Pascal doesn't seem to get all that much either. That Austin Doolin, I mean, he's just, that's like a Hail Mary, so to speak. He's in play as well. But, you got to think of the game script. I'm not really looking to play any of these 4 and 5 receivers on the Colts, because if I believe they're going to win by 2 touchdowns, I don't think they're really going to throw, and that's going to be limited. That's why I believe maybe throwing in a guy like Marlon Mack might be a better idea. But hey, maybe look at some of these Jets, these other receivers here on the Jets that could be in play. That might be a little better idea, like the Keelan Coles, the Elijah Moores, guys like that. But I will say Michael Carter is a great play. He had 23 targets the last 2 weeks. So I think even with them losing, I think Carter's a game script kind of guy, game script proof kind of guy that you could look at. But as far as the low guys, though, Chris, I think Marlon Mack probably is my favorite.
Yeah, you talked about the guys that I really like tonight. I agree on your Carter point. I mean, we've seen Mike White is just going to check down. He's not a guy that's really going to challenge down the field. The Colts have traditionally been a defense that does a great job of keeping everything in front of them and limiting the big plays. Not that the Jets have that big play ability without Corey Davis. I mean, you're talking about a lot of underneath guys, like Jamison Crowder is more the intermediate type throws, and Carter with the check downs. They don't really have a tight end. Maybe Keelan Cole could be that guy that challenges down the field, but I like the Keelan Cole call. He's cheap. We saw him make a hell of a catch the other day, so he's only 2,400. And I do like Ashton Doolin, Scott. He's only $200, so you don't need much at $200, and that's really going to allow you to go Taylor at captain if you want, or really load up on a lot of the studs in this game. So, with some of the injuries that they're dealing with there, this guy is going to have an opportunity. He played almost half the snaps in that game last week. So he's the guy. If you're going way down low and you need a savings piece, he's the guy I really like down there. So a few trends on the game tonight. The over 4-0 in the Jets last 4 games overall. The Jets 0-4 against the spread against teams with losing records. The over 4-1 in the Colts last 5. The over 4-1 also in their last 5. Following against the spread loss, which we saw to Tennessee, and the over 7-3 in their last 10 meetings. So a lot of overs here tonight, and we'll give our best bets here at the end of the show, Scott. But we want to transition now and talk some NBA here before we get out of here. Just a 5-game slate tonight, so a little bit not as crazy as we saw the other night. But I always like these 5s. I always mention like a 5 to 8 games in the NBA. Is the wheelhouse I definitely want to be in here. So I always turn it over to you here, talk some DFS. Then we'll wrap up the show with our favorite segment. And we'll see if we can get the best bets back on track here tonight. So what are we doing in DFS here in the NBA for this 5-game slate?
Yeah, I think the elephant in the room tonight, just kind of looking at DFS, is whether or not Embiid's going to play on this back-to-back. So I think that is going to be, obviously, the Pistons tonight are playing the 76ers. So for me, if Embiid's in there, I think, you might have to look at playing him, even though last night he did not come through for us. I know we talked a little bit about him yesterday, but I mean, just look at his stat line. The guy shot like shit. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn last night. His usage was there. His minutes were there. Everything was there. It's just that, he didn't shoot well. So, I mean, that's going to happen. But, with Cade Cunningham, Chris, I really like Cade Cunningham. I know there are some people on him. The guy's 0 for 14 from 3 so far in his 2 games. I mean, the dude shot almost, I think I remember hearing the other day, it was a little over 40% from 3 in his college season. So, I mean, the kid is obviously going to shoot. Sure, you can tell me the line's back a little further, but, I mean, he's going to get in a rhythm. And I think Cade, as cheap as he is in the DFS world, is somebody that I'm definitely going to be looking at. But, as we mentioned, a lot of times we like to build stars and scrubs and make sure we pay attention to what injuries are going to be, in play. So make sure you keep your ear to the ground, especially up the lock. There's talk maybe Donovan Mitchell may not play tonight. There's some guys that we're going to, be concerned about. LeBron James, he's always questionable, even though I did hear he tweeted out he can't wait to play. But just a couple guys I was seeing when I was bouncing around. Looks like Chris Paul might be a guy we might want to look at, and Georges Niang is a cheap guy that might give us some salary relief. So just some ideas there, but I was just kind of looking at, got to make sure and kind of see what's going on with Embiid. I think that's the big news.
Yeah, for sure. We already know Tobias Harris is out. We know Ben Simmons is out. We saw Drummond have a massive game the other night without Embiid. So it's one of them. Even though he'll be popular, he's too cheap for the role that he'll be in. Some of the other pieces there could certainly be in play as well. Shake Milton, Seth Curry. I mean, somebody's got to score there for that Philadelphia team. Korkmaz, you could go back to that well. He kind of burned some people last night as a heavily owned guy. LeBron James is out tonight, Scott. Just happened before we jumped on the show. So that's going to open up some things, obviously, for Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook on the high end. Guys like DeAndre Hunter in the mid-range is playing very well for Atlanta. So there's a lot of ways that you can go in the mid-range. Even a guy like Carmelo Anthony there with the Lakers, soaking up some of that LeBron James usage Carmelo's playing well, kind of hit the fountain of youth in this game. And I like the Chris Paul call, little narrative playing against his former team in Houston. So things didn't end great with those guys with that relationship. So could be a little extra juice there for Chris Paul. We'll see if DeAndre Ayton's able to return to the lineup tonight. If not, we saw a very big game out of Frank Kaminsky at very, very low ownership. So what that shows you is the ability to, on the fly, that injury came in last minute the other night, and Frank Kaminsky was 0.2% owned and really carried people to some tournament wins. So you have to be able, you have to pay attention to news right up until lock with NBA. We do the best we can here on the show to update you, but the NBA changes by the second. So those are some of our thoughts in DFS. Betting-wise, Scott, we've reached our favorite part of the show here at Woodward Bets. We got to get the people some winners. So as I always say, if you want to dabble in hockey, you dip your toe into the ice, I guess doesn't make much sense. But if you want to go there, you can certainly do that. We have an NFL game tonight. We have props. We have NBA. So give some people the winners here tonight. Who are we going with tonight in our best bets for Thursday night?
Chris, my best bets, I'm going to stick with this NFL game, even though the NFL has been literally kicking my butt lately. But I'm going to stick here. I just really believe in the Colts here. I think the Colts are just going to smash the Jets. Like I said, they just came off a big victory. I don't like hopping on teams after I think they play way over their head, especially in the NFL. So I'm all over the Colts. And you know what? Like we talked about, I looked up that 2-touchdown prop for Mr. Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he's minus 210 to score 1. But he's plus 270, Chris, to score 2. So I like that. I'm going to go plus 270 with Chris Taylor to score 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, sorry, I got excited about baseball. And then I'm going with the Colts tonight minus the 10.5. I think they win by 2 touchdowns.
All right, I like that one. I'm also going to go with the Colts for my best bet here. If you can find minus 10, that's certainly the route that I would go. On that one. NBA, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. We've been hot with the totals. I'm going to go with a spread pick here. Love the Utah Jazz here tonight at Atlanta. Now, Atlanta, much improved team. We saw that last season on their road to the playoffs. I think they went a lot deeper in the playoffs than a lot of people thought. But this is a Jazz team that's playing at a very high level right now, 6-1. I know Donovan Mitchell is questionable here tonight. Will Rudy Gobert play on a back-to-back? I think even with a skeleton crew, this Jazz team is better than people realize. Even if Mitchell were out, Jordan Clarkson can step into that role and give you 75% of what Donovan Mitchell can give you. So I'm going to go with the Jazz minus 2 as another best bet here tonight. And then I'm going to go over. I'm going to give you one total here. I'm going to go over in the Oklahoma City and LA Lakers game here tonight. 214 is the lowest I could find on that, and that's at FanDuel and DraftKings. So I think the Lakers go ham here even without LeBron. Russell Westbrook against his former employer. You get a little more emphasis there and a little more motivation with him. And I think the Thunder can do enough offensively against this Lakers team, whose the defense hasn't been as good as we've seen in years past with all these old guys running around. So I like that over there. So 3 best bets for me tonight. Indy, minus 10. Going with the Utah Jazz, minus 2 in Atlanta. And I like over 214 in the Oklahoma City and LA Lakers game. So, Scott, that will wrap us up for Thursday night, talking NFL, talking not much hockey. We don't do hockey. You know, I know there's some people asking, why don't you talk hockey? We're going to focus on the stuff we know. Yeah, we'll have
BC's a hockey guy.
Yeah, when we get a big hockey slate, we'll have him on. But talking NFL, talking NBA, final thoughts here for the people, Scott, Thursday night. What do you got?
Looks like we're gonna have some fun. Hey, I just got a little message from our boy Easy behind the glass. He was looking at the sports book and he sent me a little profit boost you can get on FanDuel if Michael Carter and Jonathan Taylor score a touchdown each, one each. It's plus 280 with the odds boost. It's up to 4-1 odds. So, Chris, I kind of like that. I like that. Both of them to score. At that point, I'm looking at I get Michael Carter at almost 5-1, 6-1 to score a touchdown with him being minus 200, that being Jonathan Taylor. So good call there, Easy. That was a good one there. So I might have to jump on and hop on Easy's pick there.
Yeah, love it. I mean, and those boosts on the different sites, you got to pay attention to those. They're always giving little offers like that at FanDuel, DraftKings, Tons of offers for free money out there, including ours at Underdog Fantasy. Guys, make sure you go and download Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code WSN. $10 free on your $10 deposit. Ton of fun. Use it tonight. Play this Jets-Colts game. Mess around with the NBA with some props or the NFL. I promise you, you're going to like the app there at Underdog Fantasy. Again, promo code WSN. Take advantage of this limited time. $10 free you're going to get just for hanging out here, just for hanging out with the Woodward Bets crew. You're going to get that bonus. So take advantage of that. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Woodward Bets, following the network at Woodward Sports. Tomorrow, again, we'll do our sit-start questions. So get those in here tonight. We'll pick the best 5 and go through them live on the show tomorrow. We'll continue to look at the NFL injuries and the lines. We'll see if there's anything that's jumping out a few days early as we move towards the weekend. And we'll update everything we saw tonight. And we'll take a look at Friday night in the NBA as well. Always a fun night in the association. So thank you, as always, for listening. We appreciate your support. For Scott, for Easy Behind the Glass, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Thank you.